right, so just as a reminder, since a lot of you are unfamiliar with Blackboard, I'm going to come back here. When you come into Blackboard, you've got activity notifications, courses, and the calendar. So this is one way on the calendar that you can see things that you're looking for, any messages that you might have, those items. If you look at your upcoming, a lot of those things that are in there. For example, upcoming in this class, you've got some things that are applying physics concepts in the real world that are due on the 27th. You also have estimate the number of baseballs in a gallon drum. That's coming up. And then this item is coming up. So you can actually see upcoming due dates in the activity. If you click on your courses, you'll see all your Blackboard courses. And just a reminder here that we won't be using the laboratory Blackboard shell. We'll only be using the class shell because all of you are enrolled in the Zoom laboratory as well. So you're in both of these classes and I have both of you. So to make life simple, I just use one Blackboard shell. It makes it easier on me, it makes it easier on you all as well. And we will cover the first laboratory today. So when you click open your Blackboard, you have the course materials in ebook, and this will take you directly to your WebAssign so that you can see all your WebAssign assignments right away. In fact, I will go ahead and click on this so that you can see all of those things. Boom. Excuse me. And I will go ahead and do student view so you can see that. So if you have more than one class in WebAssign, this is how you would select it. We're in General Physics 1, so we will select that, and this will give you your page. And you can always see your upcoming homework and due dates in here in WebAssign. This is also access to your textbook so that you can go in and access your textbook as well. Right now, the homework for chapter 1 is really the only date that I have firmly set. And then our chapter 2, we'll probably start working on that a little bit sooner. But right now, the chapter 1 is actively set. And then I have some active examples from chapter 1 that are due. And usually the active examples, if it says for practice, that is for you. If you get into them and say, hey, I don't need these to learn, or those are not for you, then that's fine. But there are no points associated with that. And as a reminder, finishing your homework, actually finishing any part of your homework, because it's graded by parts, there's a 10% bonus credits on your homework for anything that's finished 48 hours in advance of the due date. You can always look at past assignments. And so we will look at our past assignments here. You had your warm-up for the chapter that was due yesterday. And you can see it's only worth 15 points. And then you have your getting started and your math support, which were due last Saturday. So those are in there. If you didn't get it done, don't panic. I put a note that I don't accept late work. Yes, that's correct. But I do drop a couple of homework assignments at the end of the semester. So there's one place that you don't have to sweat it. The other thing is because of that 10% bonus credit, it usually works out just fine. And so just be prepared for that. And yes, I do respond to the ask your instructor, and we'll cover some of that today because I had some questions about the warm-up assignments, and that will happen today as well. So just be aware that those are in there. Your next homework that's coming up is the chapter 1 homework, and that'll be due the Thursday, January 29th. Typically, I try to have the chapter warm-ups before our lectures on the material, and I try to give at least 24 hours after the next class for asking questions. So if you have a question, ask. Rule of thumb is if it takes you a little while or you get confused, that's a good time to ask a question. Use that, definitely use that Ask Your Instructor in WebAssign. So that gets us our WebAssign. You can access the book directly through your course materials in the book. I have started a playlist for this class. I do like going into YouTube, and so I'm going to go ahead and click on this playlist so you can actually see it. And I will go into, oops, I obviously put my simple harmonic motion into the wrong playlist, but that's okay. I can get that fixed. But here's our introductions and announcements from last week. And
okay. So when we get into Blackboard, and on Fridays, I'm in Enid, so you'll see a different background on Friday.
Okay, so you'll have different things in there. So obviously I've got my playlists reversed, but if you go in here, I'll get that fixed. But if you go in there and you look at, and I'll just go ahead and show this one. If you go in and you look at the comments, you're going to see, if you open up the comments, I try to do an AI summary of the videos that will give you timestamps to go into. So that will help you out as well. So I will get this fixed so that we're going to the right place, but obviously I got it confused. And so we'll get that in there, but that's going forward and ahead. And so we're in good shape there. You do have my general physics playlist that has all of my historic videos for Physics 1, whether that's general physics or engineering physics. So if I don't explain it well one day, maybe another one of my videos will help. So you do have those items there. So that's in there as well. When you open our module, we're going to be in the Introduction to Physics and Motion module. You'll see that the assignments are right on the top. And you will see that there's the warm-up for Chapter 1. Here's our Chapter 1 homework, and then our other homeworks that are currently out there. This is estimate the number of baseballs. We'll talk about that tonight so that you have that. And then you've got those things that are in here. And then there's our week 2 evaluation. Please use these evaluations to help me help you. I use them to make sure that I have example videos for items. I make sure that if there's a question about a homework problem that we do those as well. And so those are all in there. So you do have that. Then I have in here our Zoom recordings for the past. There's your introduction to GenPhysI 1 from last week. And then I have our Zoom recordings from the past so that you can go in here and look at things. So if there's a question about a homework problem, I try to title these well so that you can find that information. And then a lot of these I have kind of study guides. So you will have those. Those are in here. And then I start to also have study guides as well. So hopefully that keeps, after you see it a couple times, Blackboard will become fairly intuitive. Canvas and Blackboard have a lot of similarities, and there are some differences because I work with some Canvas classes. And so I understand that there are some differences, but that gets us those items. So right now I'm going to ask if there are any, you can always use the chat as well. So I'm going to ask if there's any questions about where to find something, what's immediately due, And those items, we're getting ready to cover the laboratory, and then we'll cover the lecture materials.